That's so cool. Okay. Yay. All right. Well, I'm so glad that we are finally doing this. I know
Yes,
like end
been a
of last year wanted to chat and end of year things are just so crazy. But this is a good time because everyone's like coming into the new year with all their resolutions.
we're at the end of January. I feel like some resolutions have already been
Yeah.
like thrown away. But yes, fresh start, new year.
It's fine. So I guess first would just love to hear like how did you even get into thrifting? Like what kind of started that?
So in college, my RA started a little like an Instagram page where she would resell stuff from her closet for super cheap because it was just to people on campus. So there was no shipping involved. We would just, it was great because we all lived literally in the same place. So you could just walk over to whatever dorm or residence hall and like go pick up your stuff. And it was easy peasy. So I was like, that's a really good idea. And so I started doing that just with my own clothes. I wasn't going out and thrifting to for the purpose of reselling. But if I something was still super cute and I would have otherwise donated it, I was like, I mean, I'll just try to see who else maybe would like it. Then once I graduated, I kind of stopped for a year and a half. And then I was re inspired by another thrifting account that focused on home decor called the Sanders Abode. She's out in Virginia, I believe. Her name is Mariah. She's a super cool human. And I was living in an apartment at the time. So I had kind of developed a love of like decorating the apartment and making it really cute. And so I just kind of took a page out of her book and was like, I can go, my apartment was literally behind a Goodwill. So that was
Oh,
very dangerous because to get to the apartment, you had to pass the Goodwill because it was on the same road. So I would just pop in there, see what I could find. And I did my first collection. I was delusional to think that but I just started. And honestly, if anybody wanted to do this, I would encourage them to just start because you're never going to have everything ironed out and figured out prior to starting a business. You just kind of have to like throw yourself into the deep end and see what happens. And so, yeah, I did my first drop and things were so cheap, like so cheap. I don't even know if I made any money, to be honest, but it
mhm.
was fun. It was fun to do it. I learned about shipping stuff.
Oh gosh.
Yikes, McGrikes. Home decor, a lot of it is quite fragile. So I learned some hard lessons on how much effort it takes to like properly cushion breakable things and how much, that sort
Right.
of
You
thing.
probably spent more money on the packaging on some things.
Hey man, it's fine. It's all a part of the process. Um, this is all a very long-winded answer, but then we moved into a house and then like I went all in with like redoing our house. So like we redid floors, we painted everything. I was like, I am not Joanna Gaines, but like I am Leanne Ford and I will make this house beautiful. And I just shared about it on Instagram and then kept selling like home decor and some clothing on the side, but it was primarily
Mhm.
home decor. Started doing some flea markets in the Milwaukee area and actually like schlepped all my stuff to a physical booth, which I love doing because I get to actually meet people
Right.
and talk with them. And like online is great too because you still can develop like meaningful relationships, but it's different when you like get to see a person face to face and like engage in a conversation and like you can touch the physical item and whatever, try on a piece of clothing. It's just a different experience. I ran some garage sales out of my own home, pop-ups with other vintage sellers. And then once we got into this home, I rebranded, and that's how we got Lannigan home. And now I'm primarily like soft goods with clothing. It's not that I don't want to do home decor anymore. I now have a child, and
Yeah.
home decor is a lot more labor intensive when it comes to shipping. And I will primarily do like furniture and larger items for people who are local, because I still love it and I absolutely will never stop doing it. But it's much easier to ship clothing to people than it is like vases and pottery and artwork and like things that are just oddly shaped and heavy and
Right.
whatever. So now I just share like inspiration and DIY for what I'm doing in my house, and then hopefully that inspires other people to want to tackle things in their own home. But
Hmm.
yeah, that is the last 7 years.
And now, I mean, basically, you do this full time, right? Is
As full time as I can, because yes, I'm home with my daughter full time, and running this. I mean, I'm probably dedicating as much time, like somewhere between like 20 hours a week. So that's part time, but still, like, is a lot when you have a teeny little human. She's not so teeny, she's almost a year old, but like, um, it's yeah, there's a lot to juggle just with everything. So it's been fun though.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like a lot of videos of people, talking about how they're not going to buy anything all year. They're only going to buy like one clothing item a month. What's your take on that?
I think that's great, especially when it's so easy from social media to just like walking through a Target or walking through
Hmm.
whatever. It's so easy to overbuy and overconsume. So like I think as long as it's something where you're setting yourself up with a manageable goal, like I don't think I could jump in and be like, I'm not buying any makeup, any clothing, any shoes, any everything. Um, but especially when you're buying something new, I strongly abide by that rule. Like I could not say like, oh, I'm not gonna buy anything because I mainly shop secondhand anyway. So when I do buy something new and choose to invest in a piece that is again brand new, I make a big deal about it, and it like makes it more special. Like you're
Hmm.
way more excited to see that thing because you are limiting yourself of like one a month or 5 items for the whole year or whatever the case may be. But I think that's a really good mindset because I grew up with like more is better mindset, and I also grew up in like a hoarding situation, so I was just used to a lot of
Mm.
stuff being everywhere. And like it's not good for your mental state to have that many things. And I'm not like, not everyone is a hoarder, but like to over consume
Right.
so many things, either in your closet or just in your home in general, it takes up mental space like the clutter does. So while I am a maximalist at heart, there is a line that you have to draw of like, okay, I can only handle so much and take care of so much. And if I can't, if I don't have a place for something, or if I like don't have a purpose for something, or if I can't maintain whatever it is, then like you probably shouldn't have it. So I love seeing people doing like no or low buy years. I think that's really, really good. And I also challenge myself to just 5 items for the whole year that are new, not secondhand, but new.
Yeah, that would be impossible.
That would not work for my business.
So why, or I guess what's like what some of your favorite thrift finds that you've
Oh my
had? Or
gosh.
something maybe you didn't get that you regretted instantly not getting.
Oh, that happens a lot. But like I feel like I block it out so that I don't
Mhm.
get too upset. Um I got a free pine hutch off of Facebook Marketplace. I know that's not exactly thrifting, but it is shopping secondhand. It is beautiful. It's in the next room. I drove down to Whitewater for it by myself and just like loaded her up, and my trunk was propped open and like tied down, but it was worth it because it was free, and it's a beautiful piece that I still like love today. Thrift. Oh, there's some artwork that I have thrifted over the years that I don't think I'll ever part with.
Mhm.
Like different oil paintings. I even found an oil painting literally like an hour and a half ago that I'm definitely going to resell, but it's gorgeous. It's got like it's straight out of a museum and it has like the ornate frame, and
Oh
it's just
wow.
like oil painting on a board, and it's beautiful. It was so big that I had to like ask them like, "Hey, can I put this behind the counter?" And they told me that like almost every single person that was checking out was like, can I buy that? Can I buy that?
Oh,
And obviously, like they said no. Um, but again, there it's hard for me to keep a list, but like my favorite things to buy secondhand are like artwork because it's always so unique. Furniture, because fast furniture is
yeah.
another issue. But if you're thrifting stuff and it's a solid piece, like it's already been around for years and years and years, and if it's in solid condition, like you're you can rest assured that you're going to be able to use that piece for years and years and years. So anything that has longevity and character,
Hmm.
that's my favorite thing.
My
Whether
friend
that's
and I were
clothing or
just,
home decor.
yeah. My friend and I were talking about how sad it is. Like it's hard. Like she was just trying to buy real wood furniture and how hard it was to even find that available now because everything's just like MDF
Yeah,
and fake. So you
particle
really
board.
have
And
to
like
invest.
it's just, don't get me wrong, like I have IKEA pieces. There's nothing that's like, I'm not gonna like villainize IKEA,
Yeah.
but they're like, I would much rather have a solid wood piece than something that if I pick it up is going to like rip off. Like I've done it. I've ripped off a piece or it pops out, and it's like not worth the money in my
No, for the
opinion, even though
hours
it's
putting it together.
plus the hours putting it together. But like IKEA has some solid wood pieces too that I have upcycled and like made beautiful and still have. But like I will take an antique or vintage piece every time over
Yeah.
an IKEA piece. But yeah, it is harder to find, especially when you're shopping new today. Like unless you're gonna pay a buttload of money, what you're buying, and everybody is out for a deal. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with wanting a deal because things are really freaking expensive. But if you want that thing to last longer, it's better to invest in like quality pieces, which can mean a higher price tag, unfortunately, but also fortunately.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh, What would you say are like some misconceptions about thrifting? I know people are weird maybe about the item types they might thrift, or some people just get weirded out thinking they're gonna get like bed bugs, or there's just lots of, negatives that you could hear, or even just people just being too overwhelmed, being like, that's just too much stuff.
Yeah, I hear that a lot where people are like, oh my gosh, you find the best stuff. Like, there's nothing good at my thrift store. And while there, like, some thrift stores are better than others, like, you can find good pieces typically. I'm not saying you're going to find a whole cartload's worth of good pieces, but like, if you do certain things and look, like, I have some tips that I'll share later, but if you follow that routine and those tips, like, you're going to start finding good pieces. I think a lot of people are grossed out by thrift stores because it was somebody else's
Hmm.
clothing. You don't know where it's been. And I get that, but also, like,
I think people need to think about that even in new stores because
somebody
you don't
might
know
have
how
tried it
many
on.
people like it or people that don't wash their clothes, even if it's new and you get it home, do you know like how the pieces were all in a factory and how many hands have touched that? And in the store, how many hands have touched that? Like that's disgusting.
Yeah, retweet. And like chemicals that are on that clothing. Like, I never washed my new clothing growing up. Like, I was just so excited to like
Yeah.
have the new thing and I'd wear it like right away. And now in hindsight, I'm like, everything I bring home for like my when we were gifted baby clothing
Mm,
and all that, I was like, it's going in the washer first. Like, I don't even want to think about all the things that have like touched the new clothing. So, like, again, clothing can be washed. Most decor can be sanitized. I can understand like pillows, but like, I have thrifted pillows. You just throw it in the dryer on high heat. It kills any like bed bugs that could potentially be in there. What else are people like really turned off by? Like,
swimsuits, undergarments.
that's fair. But most,
Yeah.
I would say, if there are swimsuits or undergarments at the thrift store, a lot of the times they are new.
Hmm.
Like, and again, if it still has like the plastic or whatever, that doesn't even mean I'm not condoning trying it on at the thrift store. But if you take it home and you wash it, it's most likely fine. I wouldn't necessarily buy like my underwear there.
Right.
But I have bought swimsuits there before. Again, everything is washable,
Yep.
cleanable.
Probably less people may have tried it on than the one at Target. Like,
So
you
true.
know.
So true. But yeah, even if you are gonna try it on, like, you do it the same way. You leave your underwear on and you put it on, and yeah, you're not. No one wants it to touch you directly.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, but most things you can sanitize or wash, so it really doesn't bother me personally. But I remember there was a one of the cashiers at TJ Maxx. I was telling her about like what I did, and I commented like, "Oh, some of these prices are cheaper than the thrift store," which was true. And she was like, "Oh, I could never shop at the thrift store. It's somebody else's clothes. It's so weird." And it's like, I don't understand. I don't understand that train of thought, because it's like, wouldn't you rather like reuse what's already exists, and like, again, you just wash the thing and you wear it. It's not this like disgusting process that
Right.
I think people make it out to be. And most thrift stores, especially like St. Vinny's around here, are like, they keep the store very cleanly.
Mm.
Goodwill, not so much. You drop something, there's gonna be dust when you pick it up.
Yeah.
So again, as long as what you take home you then take care of before you wear it, then I don't see an issue. The overwhelm of walking in a thrift store, I can understand, because it is a lot of
Hmm.
visual, um, just things to look at. But again, I have a couple tips for like helping with that, because I do understand that it can be just overwhelming to even try to start.
Right. Yeah. What would you say someone that's like, okay, I really want to try this? Like, what would be some of your tips for someone's like from maybe first time going into the thrift store? Like, where should they even start?
Yeah. I would say just like Google thrift stores around where you live. Um, Pick one or two that you can go to maybe like a few times in the same week. Like, or pick one thrift store that you maybe go to on a Monday, a Thursday. And I don't typically go on weekends just because there's a lot of people there. So maybe you go like 2 or 3 times that week. I like to shop by section. So I like have a routine of I'm gonna go to the home decor first and look at those shelves and put like my that stuff in the bottom of the cart, and then I'll work my way over to okay, I'm going to look at just sweaters, I'm going to look at just pants, I'm going to look at just purses, whatever the case may be. Like, you don't necessarily have to look at the entire store every single trip
Mm,
that you make, but the more that you go and familiarize yourself with that thrift store, you're going to have more of an eye for new stuff that's on the shelves versus stuff that obviously you've seen before. So that is why I say go more
that's
than
true.
once. And that cuts down on your time because, like, again, you're scanning shelves and you're like, I've already seen this stuff. Oh, that's new. And it cuts down on like that time. Um, I have bring your own bag because a lot of thrift stores don't give you a bag
Oh,
anymore. Or you can buy reusable ones, but like, how many reusable bags do we all have just like sitting in our house or sitting in our car? Like, just grab it and bring it inside. Um Also, this is kind of funny, but like, you have bring a beverage for yourself, bring your water bottle, bring a coffee, something, and go to the bathroom before you go. Because
mm,
while I love the thrift store and I just talked about how it's not gross, I'm not saying the bathroom's not gross. So, like, go to the bathroom before you set out on your journey.
that's a great tip. So
For
don't
real.
drink too much water.
For real. Fair. Fair. Um, I would say if you are buying clothing, always try it on and inspect it really well. Inside, outside, look for holes, look for stains. Um, if your thrift store doesn't have a fitting room, just wear like tighter fitting clothing, like leggings and a like a tighter fitting shirt, so that way you can like easily just throw it on over your clothes and like look at a mirror somewhere. Um, just because a lot of thrift stores, at least around here, don't allow returns. So like, you want to make sure that what you're buying you're actually going to wear and use. Um, but I say inspect it really well because there have been a lot of times where like I think I looked it over and then I get home and I'm a little more meticulous when I go to like list something to disclose if there are any stains or holes or flaws about an item, but I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even like notice that."
Mm,
And it, like, I guess if I was wearing it for myself, if I didn't notice it at first, like, it wouldn't bother me, but me as a like curator for somebody else, I obviously want to give them like the best
right.
quality piece. So just make sure you look it over. I have look everywhere always. So sometimes if you are going and you're like, yeah, I'm going to tackle the whole thrift store today, like, look in weird spots. Like, sometimes there's just random stuff in like the garden section or the technology section, or something just got put back on like the top of a shelf that clearly doesn't
Mm,
belong there, but it's a cool item. Or you're in the men's section and somebody hung up a dress that like they just didn't put on a put back rack. So always just be scanning, scanning, scanning. Like, I found a Coach bag on the floor today. was just laying
Oh,
on the floor,
chilling.
just chilling. And I was like, hello, like, you are coming with me. Um, and then I have like see potential in a lot of items. I more so say that for decor. A lot of the times, like, you can do small things to change it to make it really cute. If it's a frame, you can use spray paint it. Can you put a fabric matting in that frame, even if you hate the artwork that's in it right now? If it's a vase, like, could you change it in some way by painting or texturizing it? Um, but like, obviously, if you're somebody who's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that, then don't buy it. But like, it's good to see the potential in things, not just like as they are.
Right.
Um, I would love to like hand paint some wooden mirrors. I've seen people do these like really cute, just like designs all over. And I'm like, I want to do that. So I'm on the hunt for a cute, like wooden framed mirror. Um, Right. I put simple DIYs are more feasible than like full blown reupholstering. So
Right.
like I have like told myself sometimes like, oh, this chair would be so cute just in a different fabric, but like I'm probably not going to tackle that
Mm-hmm.
like super easily. Maybe I'll do it once, and then once I've done it, maybe I'll feel more confident doing it the next time, but like don't necessarily bite off more than you can chew unless there's a really good like local reupholstery place that you are okay spending a little bit of money on that for like a cheaper chair, but you're going to spend more on the service. It's
Mm-hmm.
probably going to be cheaper than buying a new more like modern chair in that whatever fabric you want. So if you're looking for like the cost effectiveness, I would highly recommend that. And then something that has definitely helped me more recently is just having like a running list of things that like you really want, or a Pinterest board of outfits of things you already own that you like, but maybe like you don't have a loafer. And you're like, I really would like a loafer for this outfit that I already have. Or I really want a white flowy skirt to go with like all these tops or these boots that I have. And I'm on the hunt for like that. It just keeps you a little more focused and like honed in on if you do see a piece like that. It just, I don't know, you almost manifest it and then you find it. But that kind of keeps you from the scatterbrain and overwhelm of like, oh my gosh, there's a million items of clothing here. And then I'm very picky now. I wasn't always about just the materials that
Mm-hmm.
I'm thrifting, especially of clothing, because I'm again looking for longevity rather than like, oh, it's a cute dress, but it's all polyester and made of plastic and is probably not going to last a long time.
Right.
So there's a few things. I feel like I
I
talked
think
so
those
much.
are
I'm sorry.
good. No, yeah, I was gonna ask, and you touched on it of, and I think that's good for a beginner to not just or to go in with ideas of outfits you're trying to create and certain pieces versus just scouring the entire rack. And then
Right,
maybe you're like, oh, should I get, then you're maybe kind of like forcing yourself to get something versus finding something you're truly excited to wear.
right, right. And if it's a maybe, it's a no.
Mm,
Just a hard no. Put it back.
yes.
And that goes with anything, shopping secondhand or new. Like if you're like you're not feeling good, like 100% good in it, like don't take it
Yeah.
home. You're
Even
not
if
going.
it's $4.
Yeah. Oh, I know. There are so many people that are like, well, it's only X amount of dollars. It's like that's still your $5.
Yeah.
Don't waste it.
I know something we messaged about before, but some people are like, well, I don't want to thrift because like I have money, like I don't want to take stuff from people that really need it. So what do you say to those people?
Yeah, I totally understand that train of thinking. However, there are thrift stores are so like overwhelmed with donations because of the overconsumption that is pushed on us as a society, that even if 1,000, maybe not 1,000 for one store, but even if 100 resellers walked in, I would not choose the same thing as you would choose, as someone else would choose, as a t-shirt bro would choose. Like, there are so many options,
Hmm.
and your dollars that you're giving to that thrift store then supports their mission, which is probably providing food for people, giving people training that have disabilities that wouldn't otherwise have a job, giving like giving back to veterans, because every thrift store has a different mission.
Yep.
One of them is all recovering um, drug addicts and people addicted to alcohol. So like, you going in there, you're not like stealing from the less fortunate. You're actually like generating revenue for a store that then gives back to its community. And nobody is going to go in and take all of the good stuff. Like, I I kind of get the train of thought, but it's like, okay, if we were to not go in and buy stuff, then it and like then somebody else doesn't buy it and no one ends up buying it, that thing then most likely ends up in a landfill.
Yep.
So
I agree.
it's not like, I personally really don't see an issue with anybody who, I don't care how much money you make, you can still shop secondhand. It's not necessarily about wealth. And I also don't mean to say like, when I'm talking about sustainability and stuff, I know not everyone has the income to be purchasing like Doan stuff and Christy Dawn stuff, like really high end, like slow fashion pieces. Like, I do not have that expectation of people. It's just like, if you're going to like vote with your dollar, it's easy to do it in a thrift store or on Facebook Marketplace at a lower price point, if that makes sense.
Yep. No, that does. And like you said, yeah, the resellers all have their own niche. So I feel like really you're just helping people because so many people don't want to go to thrift stores. They don't want to spend the time finding stuff. So if someone else, you love vintage sweatshirts or Levi's jeans, then you know the people you can follow who are going to go do that for you and you're willing
Right.
to pay the price for that and for their service for doing that. Otherwise, again, yeah, it's just going to sit and pile up in a thrift store.
Right. And there's always more coming out. Like,
Yeah, if
oh,
anyone doubts that, go. We have a Goodwill like just drop off by
yeah.
our house, and it is always like floor to ceiling packed with like a U-Haul coming to load it up. I, it's just
Right.
insanity what
Right.
people.
It's never ending, which is a problem in and of itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Um, Look at my notes. Oh, okay. The quality. So, something I noticed when I went thrifting recently was just like there was so much Shein, a lot of like Old Navy, just a lot of more fast fashion brands. Like it was a lot of having to flip to find things that were like 100% cotton or maybe older. It's interesting to find like even like old Gap. Like I could tell it was like an older Gap style, but like that's more of what, I was trying to find. Are you seeing that on your end too, where it's a lot of like just cheap polyester fabrics everywhere?
100%. The amount of Target
Hmm.
clothing that I saw today, and like, again, I went to the thrift store today, but like in general, a lot of Shein, a lot of Amazon basics,
Oh gosh, yeah.
a lot of Universal Thread and Wild Fable, a lot of, yes, just like cheap cider. Um, oh my gosh, just so many that like the piece is cute at first glance, maybe, but then like you're like, oh, like nope, don't want, don't want that. But yes, I have seen way more of those brands in the racks and less, well, yes, less of vintage brands or just other brands in general, but you absolutely can still find them. It just takes a little more digging.
Mm-hmm.
But that also speaks to like the volume of those fast fashion pieces. Like you're getting rid of them quicker and buying more and getting rid of it and buying more. Like,
Yeah,
stop.
it's a bad, bad cycle. And it's crazy because they're priced probably more at the thrift store than the person bought it for because it was just so cheap.
Which, like, someone made that. Someone
Right.
made that piece of
Someone made it.
clothing. It should be a red flag that it's $5
Yeah. I don't
or
think I've never been to an apparel factory. I've been to other factories, but I don't think people like really understand. Like even fabrics, they might have, the like the arm sleeve, the base, like they might have a machine where you can put the fabric under and it will cut it. Sometimes people are manually cutting those pieces, but then it's having to be pinned together by hand
um,
and sewn by hand and cutting the threads by hand and checked by hand. Like that's not cheap.
no. And it's really a dark and scary rabbit hole to go down, but like no one is getting paid a fair wage when you're buying a $5 whatever off of Shein or Temu, and it's covered in chemicals,
Yeah.
and they rip off other designers at a, like, obviously, like they'll even steal their pictures and be like, here's what you're
Hmm.
buying, and then you receive something that is not at all what was in the picture. It's just like their knockoff version of it that's maybe a different material and is poorly made because they had to make it so quickly,
Right.
which, it's just sad. It's sad. And I don't mean to like bog anyone down with like all of this information because it can be overwhelming
Right.
from like, oh my gosh, I can't eat anything with this ingredient, and these clothes are carcinogenic, and I have to recycle the, like, it's a lot to think about because of the amount of information we now have access
Hmm.
to. But it is good to be conscious about these things without like hyper fixating on them and like letting it weigh you down, weigh you down, weigh you down. But also just like to be more intentional with, okay, do I really need this? Where is my money going when I buy this thing?
Yeah.
So
I have found myself, I mean, I'm not really like a big TikTok person, but sometimes I'll go through phases where I just scroll and I have found myself more and more disgusted on the app because every single, which I get it, everyone's trying to make money.
I know.
But like every single thing is them trying to sell, if it has the little bar to like sell a product, I'm instantly bypassing. Like I don't need to have someone else trying to push some random product on me. Um, or even just the people with all their Amazon boxes piled high of everything they got in. Like yeah, if anyone needs a reality check, that's what you search because it's just crazy why or the people that have carts set outside, fancy carts or rooms for the delivery people. Like you have that, unless you have a business, like you have that many deliveries every day that you need a cart for your person.
I have never seen that.
You
And
haven't seen this? I literally just saw a video of someone that has like a room. It's like not a second house, but it was like a storage room and it was full of drinks and snacks that in a bathroom that the person could go in and go get. And I'm just like, you just spent
I
like,
mean, I'm all for like treating our delivery people well, but like that's if you're really getting that many deliveries without, again, a business or like some greater need for that much
right.
like product, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Unless you live in the country and, that's nice of you to do. But yeah, it's
I
just
think
so much.
the thing that like now rubs me the wrong way, I used to be really into like, oh, this is a free people dupe, or this is a
Mm,
like an anthropology dupe of this blouse, and I'd be like sick because I can't pay $198 for that dress. I would much rather pay the $37 on Amazon for the same dress. But again, where I'm not I'm not saying I've never done it because I've done it. And
yeah.
I'm not
We
I'm
all
not
have.
shaming anyone who's done it because like again, I think we all have, but I'm not on that train anymore. I used to be like sick, add to cart, and I would overspend that way. Like, oh, this person's outfit is so cute. They found a dupe for, that blouse I really, really like. I'm gonna buy it. And like, A, that's not good for your wallet. Cause
Right.
like, do you really need it? And B, again, your $37 or what have you, whatever the total is not going to the same places. And I
Mhm.
feel like dupes are kind of like plagiarism of
Yeah.
whoever designed it for the big brand, but that's a kind of a gray area for me.
And again, do you actually love the item or do you like it because it's a dupe and because you
Right.
know it's a dupe?
Right.
It's just, yeah, there's a lot of accounts dedicated to that type of thing that,
Yeah, and you can make a lot of money
yeah,
doing is the like thing, which is really appealing. I'm not gonna lie, but
right, especially
also
in yeah, today's economy and how easy it is. Like I get it for sure.
like at what price morally?
Hmm.
I couldn't do it anymore. Or I couldn't do it knowing what I know now.
Yeah. And like what you've talked about, because since I've had a boutique, I've talked about this on my stories before of, when especially Amazon is bad at this, if the head is cut off of the model, that's a sign that that item is not actually what is pictured in that photo. They've like photoshopped it onto a body or they've
Right.
stolen a lot of like influencers' photos.
Right.
There was like a cotton dress at one time I had share that was like a really pretty pattern, and then Amazon ripped it off. It was the real one was 100% cotton and lined. The fake was all polyester. I don't think it even had lining.
Yeah.
It's gonna be see-through. It's not gonna last.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a really fun time having to steam that like crazily just to be able to wear it.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just gonna feel icky. Like
Yeah.
I pretty much avoid polyester as much as I can now when it comes
Yeah.
especially to like blouses and dresses. It just doesn't feel great,
Yeah. For
compared
sure. And
to
like
cottons and linens.
physically feeling what you already have in your closet too is a really good place to start. That way when you are going through the racks at the thrift store, like visually I can tell, but like as soon as I touch something, I'm like, "Ugh," like I know that's not a natural fiber. And I'm not trying to be a snob either, because like there are still some things that have a little bit of polyester like blended in with like cotton or whatever else,
Yeah.
silk. Um, but I'm also like I'm not about the 100% polyester anything. Even if it was cute, like I picked up a white flowy dress today that was like exactly the style I was looking for, but it was 100% polyester, so I left it there. And I was like, all
Mhm.
right, well, bummer.
Yep. And yeah, the people that maybe again felt overwhelmed, like this is just too much. I just want to give up. I think it's just start somewhere,
Yeah,
slowly just try maybe not to buy things that are 100% polyester if you can.
right. And just wear what's in your closet
Yeah.
already too. If there's I get if there's like an event coming up and you need a like fancy outfit or a dress or whatever, but like try to go to the thrift store first. Like obviously you can Pinterest to see what kind of dress,
Mhm.
what color, what silhouette you're looking for, but like go hunt for it secondhand. And if you find it new, if you can, like let it sit in your cart or like don't buy it like right away and see if you can find something secondhand in the meantime. But I get the timeliness of sometimes needing pieces for specific events.
Do you, I've seen more and more people renting clothes, especially for like events or vacations. And I was like, that is so smart. Like you could get like 5 or 6 pieces for $100
Mm-hmm.
and wear them throughout your vacation versus maybe spending $100 on one item that
Right.
you would wear one time. How do you feel about those services?
Yeah. No, I think they're great. Like I've been curious about Newly.
Hmm.
I don't think I should be spending $100 a month on a
Yeah.
rental, but like I think it's a really cool idea that you can try these pieces out if you want to. You can buy some of
Mhm.
them to keep, but that's a way more sustainable option than just like again buying new, and then donating
For
the things that you're not going to wear.
Yeah. Yeah. I would never, or me personally, yeah, it wouldn't be a monthly clothing stipend, but next time I go on a vacation, I would be very interested to try
That's
that.
a really good idea.
Um, let's see. I guess, yeah, we talked about, you know, fast fashion with really the problem being, department stores really plan. I mean, they've got a lot of them have become more fast fashion, but really stores have to plan out over a year in advance and make collections. So they're only getting that certain collection in at that time. But now we have all these more fast fashion stores that can like turn over pieces within a day. Like they can see
Right.
something on Etsy, rip it off, and be selling it the next day. And that's really where the problem has become because it used to just be stores would plan, it would come in each season, here's the collection. And once it's gone, it's gone. They're not just like going to be fulfilling all these new designs throughout every day of every hour. Um, it just, it's just crazy, like between with online and social media and all the production and labor that these people are working 24 hours, a day.
Yeah, like literal slaves
Children.
and children. Yeah. Again, dark, scary
Yeah.
rabbit
Lots
hole.
of documentaries out there now that you can see all of that
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Yep. I highly recommend if you haven't watched any, watch by now, which I know Haley you've watched, but it's on Netflix and it covers like clothing, technology,
Mm.
and food, and just like an overview of that. So it gives you a good like dose of food for thought, and it
Mhm.
changes how you see a few things.
Yes. So yeah, if you're watching and overwhelmed, I would start with a documentary just to like open your mind to
Yeah.
what's out there.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people are just ignorant to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like it's just it's cheap, and so if I can get it cheaper, then why would I buy the more expensive version?
Right.
So, which again, I was there. I was of that mindset too. So,
Yep. We are all guilty of
for
this.
sure.
It's just slow changes. But something I want to talk to you about was that you're offering is your bundle deals, which I love because again, a lot of people don't have the time or patience to go and find things. So I would love for you to talk more about what this entails.
Yeah, it is my favorite thing. So I basically curate like a personal collection for you. You give me like I give you a bundle blueprint. I get like your measurements, your style preferences, color preferences. If there is like a vacation coming up that you're like, I just want a little refresh for a vacation, or I am just looking to kind of like find a few more pieces for my wardrobe, or I am wanting like a complete revamp, whatever the case may be. I have 3 different sized bundles, but you make a Pinterest board to give me some like concrete examples of what you're picturing. And then I go out and I hunt for those pieces. It takes me about, I say, like 3 to 4 weeks to give you the best pieces that fit your preferences, because again, it doesn't just happen in one trip.
Yep.
Sometimes it happens in like 10 or 12 trips. So it's a lot of like time and driving to different thrift stores and that sort of thing. So it's a service that I really, really enjoy doing. But it also cuts out the heavy lifting on your end, because obviously like I'm doing the hunting for you. So it's easy on you. And it's easy on the planet because you're not going out and like buying a bunch of new pieces and perpetuating the cycle of more
Mhm.
fast fashion. So I really, really enjoy it. It's really fun for me because it's like a little treasure hunt.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would take a look at like my Instagram and my website to see kind of what my vibe is. Because if your vibe is like drastically different, it may not be the best fit, but I am pretty versatile. Like I have a very eclectic style. So it's not like you have to fit my vibe exactly. But if we're like completely different, I may not be the best personal shopper for you. But for the most part, I can do a bunch of different vibes.
Yes, and I'll put your info in the show notes. And yeah, anyone that watches this replay, like just go to her Instagram and you can see bundles that she's done and just like how excited she is. I think that's like one of the most fun parts is like you
Oh,
genuinely love it and that comes very clearly. Like that is
good.
something that you enjoy, which is good because you want someone that actually cares and is not just like, oh, this is good enough, this is good enough. Like you're definitely putting in the time and effort to find the right things.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of fun because it's like my love language is gifts. So it's like I get to give people a gift, and it's also like a way to just, I don't know, I don't want to make it about like health, but it is better for like your overall health too, to be getting clothing that's like been washed in non-toxic laundry detergent and like
Yeah.
hasn't doesn't have chemicals all over it that's then on your skin. And yeah, so again, it's a huge passion of mine. I could talk literally all day about it, but I would love to curate a bundle for you if you're watching. So you can either DM me or just check out on my website straight from there, and we can connect further. But it'll be fun.
Yes. And then I guess just to wrap it up, because you or how we met is through like a program we were doing, helping kind of get our businesses going. And so you wanted to launch a website for your thrift finds, and then I was trying to start my web design business. I'm more focused on Show It, but I have experience with Shopify from having a boutique, and that is what you needed to use. So we got to kind of work together and go through that journey. How has it been like having an online site to be able to sell things versus I'm not even sure what you did before. Was it just like messaging back and forth or
It was
posting
a lot
news
of,
stories?
yeah. So prior to having the website, it would be a lot of DM communication via, like, I would post things to my stories. People would DM me, or in the past, I had done like a static post and people would comment on it. And then it was a lot of like, what's your email? What's your address? I'll get
Hmm.
back to you on shipping cost once I, have it all packaged and weighed, and then you'll Venmo me again for the shipping. And like, it was just a lot of steps. Um, since having a website, it has cut a lot of that time communicating with the customer way down. And it's very professional. Like
Mhm.
it just like gives your business a higher credibility. And I don't mean that running your business through Instagram is not professional. It absolutely can be, but there's just like another level of like everything is organized for you. When tax season comes, like you have a record of sales that's like I didn't really need to keep track of because I
Right.
was doing it along the way. Um, People can find you versus like with SEO words, and maybe find your website because of some of the words in your description. So it's not just like you promoting
Hmm.
your website, or I'm sorry, your like things via just like one avenue. It allows more of an audience, which is really, really cool. Um, and it's just like kept me way more organized. It I was so overwhelmed. So like Haley helped 1,000,000% in terms of like she did all of the setup. It took me a while to like understand how to like really, really use it. But now after I've had it for it's almost been a year. I don't know, like 10ish,
Yeah,
10 months at this point. I've used it more and it's way easier.
good.
But once like
Good.
you set it up and then kind of gave me the keys, so then it was so much easier. Because someone would have been like, yeah, okay, make your website, I would have been like,
No.
I would rather never go to a thrift store again than just kidding. But it would have been really just terrible for me. So thank you. You did a fabulous job in making it easy on me and making it look nice and functional. So it's been
Good. That's the goal. Because I think so many, I mean, as a business owner, there are so many things that are not fun to do from the back end side. And, if you actually like launch your business, like you've made it. You've been through the hurdles. And so with web design, love just the opportunity to help like take that stress off of someone and just let you focus on finding for you finding the clothes, like figuring out how you want to price it. Let me deal with the back end so that it's ready for you to be able to launch your baby and do the thing.
exactly. And you did. So thank you.
Yeah. It was so fun. But yeah,
And
and
oh,
oh,
and I feel like I don't know this 100%. It's me speculating. But I'm doing a collaboration with the Choose app in
oh yeah.
March.
Mm-hmm.
They reached out to me and they were like, "Do you have a like?" Once they were like, "We want to do a collaboration with you," which I've never done one with any brand, and this was like a dream match in terms of mission and morals and just things lining up. But they hi. Sorry, my daughter is awake. Hello. Um, they were like, "Hey, do you have a website where we can see some of your stuff?" And I was like, "Why, yes, I do."
Oh,
So it was nice to be like, "Yes, you here's my URL," and like they can go look at it rather than like kind of scrambling for photos and
right.
whatever, or like highlights in my feed. And all of those things are still good tools. But I think having a website was an added bonus with like
Mhm.
working with a brand as well. And I'm not saying you absolutely have to have a website to like land a collaboration, but I don't think it hurt.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say for anyone, like start small. That's totally fine. Do what you can afford, and then as you can. And what I love about like Shopify, I think they're low, or you can start as low as $5 a month if you wanted like super basic site to list things that probably don't come in like multiple sizes and colors. Like if you want to do digital
Right.
products, or maybe you sell jewelry, like the same jewelry type pieces all the time, like you could launch that probably in an hour and for $5 a month. But otherwise, I think the next plan's like $39 a month, I want to say around that, at least at this time of recording, which is really great for a website where they have so much set up for you and so many resources. So if you have a business that is very like inventory related, I would do Shopify. I've been working more in Show It, which is great more for like service-based businesses, or maybe you have products that it's the same t-shirt you are just selling over and over again or whatnot. But I'll put my info too if you are looking to get a website done. Would love to chat and help make that happen. I'm still doing beta pricing to help make it, more affordable for anyone needing to get started. But
It's great. Do it.
yeah, yay. Um, but it's just crazy how like we just met randomly in a group and have become Insta buddies, like the internet.
Yeah.
Crazy. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's been almost a year and you've like shown up. You're consistent with your reels, your story. It feels like you've grown a lot from your following. So that's super exciting. You're putting in the work and it's
Yes.
paying off. So,
Thank you.
and
That's
now your
very
bundles.
yeah, and if you are somebody who um runs your own business, wants a website, like you Haley, you kind of have to be like your biggest cheerleader to like keep yourself
Mm,
going because sometimes like it feels like you're just doing your thing and you're like, does anyone care?
yeah. Does
I don't
anyone see
know.
this? Does anyone? Yeah.
So it's really encouraging to hear you say that. So thank you, and thank you for like organizing this because this was a really fun time to talk about and chat all things
Yeah.
thrifting and sustainability and business owning. So thank you.
Well, thank you for being my first guest. I don't really know what's to come. I have an idea, maybe the next one um that I may do, but we'll see. So thanks for being the first one and just taking the time out of your evening to chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. I'm gonna stop.